exciting. I just realized that I was nervous, not because I'm scared I'm going to mess up or do something wrong, but because I love you all so much, and I feel so called to serve and support and love you that I just wanted to write by spirit, and I just wanted to write by you, and so let's do this. So tonight my talk is on the evolution of consciousness. And in the science of mind, consciousness is used in a couple different ways. In one sense, it's used to describe that subjective creative substance or power from which all things are created. And in another sense, it's used to describe our own personal evolution or understanding. And so tonight when I talk about the evolution of consciousness, I mean to be talking about my own unveiling of truth. Recently, I had an experience I'd like to share with you. I had the opportunity to assist Reverend Josh in a foundations class. And what I realized when I was in that foundations class is that it had been exactly 4 years since I took foundations. And from foundations, I took a class every term since, and now I'm a practitioner of religious science and I'm in ministerial school. But what I found even more fascinating to think about was where I was at that time and how much I've grown since then. When I entered into my foundations class, I had hit rock bottom. I was filled with sadness, self-loathing, pain. I had done everything I could to cover myself up. And I had just moved to California. I just so happened to move right across the street from a Centers for Spiritual Living, which just so happened to be offering a foundations class at the time. There was something in me that knew that this was where I needed to be. I couldn't speak out loud. I couldn't look a person in the eye, but I knew that I needed to be in this class. 2 amazing practitioners facilitated this class, and these ladies, they saw something in me. They saw something in me that I absolutely could not see myself at that time, and they loved me. And they told me how special and how beautiful and good I was. And they told me that it didn't matter what I had gone through. It didn't matter that I was completely overweight, that I smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes a day, that I was at that time still detoxing from drugs and alcohol. They told me that who I was something so unchangeable, so good and perfect, that I could live in that truth and let the pain and sadness fall away. But of course they told me that it was going to be my choice, and I had to choose for myself. These words were exactly what my soul longed to hear, because I took them and I ran with them. In Practicing the Presence, Joel Goldsmith explains that true spiritual healing is not something that takes place in one's body or in one's affairs, but that it takes place in the consciousness of the individual as the soul is opened. That everything within consciousness responds as the soul is open to the light of truth. These practitioners of mine, they simply spoke their truth, which was my truth, which is the absolute truth of each and every one of us. But the light of that truth filled me, and I started to see things more clearly. There's something that I've come to understand about the evolution of my consciousness. It takes time. It takes time for me to come to new revelations, new insights of what this life means to me. I now know that God, or life, or this great good, which is our truest essence, it has always been there, and it will always be there. But it is up to me to open up to that, and to notice it, and to recognize it. We cannot be separate from our good, and we cannot be separate from life. but our awareness can strengthen and grow within us. 4 years ago, I also had a vision of myself as a minister. I had absolutely no idea how this was going to happen because I had very little faith in myself. But I listened to what people had to say, and I have faith in the words that Ernest Holmes has written, not because they're his words, but because they move me. And I have faith in the principles of the science of mind. I don't just have faith in them, I use them. And that has brought about a conviction of their reality within me. I now understand that my vision for myself, it will see fulfillment. But it is through daily, even momentary evaluation and reevaluation of my thoughts, of my actions. I'm constantly asking myself, Nicole, are you in integrity with who you say you are? Are you representing the highest vision of yourself? But all of these things through time and practice have slowly evolved into this person you see today, who might be so very nervous to get up here and talk in front of you, but who knows that this is where Spirit has called me, and might be shy and intimidated at times, but who's pushed and pulled from within to do things that I'm scared to do. I know that there is something so much greater than my current understanding of myself that's trying to express itself through me. What I have come to understand is that this evolution of consciousness, it's expanding to the degree that we are able to recognize what's working in our lives and let go of what's not. It's growing and expanding in direct proportion to our ability to think for ourselves, to evaluate and reevaluate our personal beliefs, our thoughts, our words, our ideas. It's growing in direct proportion to our ability to surrender our ideas for greater ideas. In How to Use the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes asks a couple of questions. He says, can we turn from poverty and want to an acceptance of abundance? Can we turn from sickness to a belief in health? Can we turn from unhappiness to happiness? And can we shut out discord long enough to contemplate harmony? These are some really good questions. These are the kinds of questions that I am faced with every day. I think we're all faced with these questions from time to time. But to me, this is exactly where and how the evolution of our consciousness takes place. But how does it work, right? How in the world are we supposed to go from unhappiness to happiness? How, with the chaos that we see, are we supposed to shut out discord long enough to contemplate harmony? Ernest Holmes goes on to say that the effective practitioner, which is every one of us here, has the will to try, the courage to make the attempt, the faith to believe in himself because he has a conviction in the law of good, and the confidence of this conviction, the simplicity of this conviction is enhanced when he realizes he has nothing to change outside himself. So what does this mean? I believe this means we try. We attempt to see the good and release the bad. We try to step out of the darkness and into the light. And we try, and we try, and we just keep on trying. And so to conclude my original story, here I am, back in this foundations class 4 years later, still Nicole, still filled with struggles and uncertainties, still unsure of how all of my dreams are going to become reality, but with an enhanced conviction, an enhanced perception that all I have to do is try. Even if it's scary, even if I think I'm going to fail, I just make the attempt. This is what I encourage you all to do. With whatever it is in your life that you reach for, that you think might be impossible or just a dream, please hear me now and know this. You are good. You are worthy. And you are worth the attempt. I know that we're all called to something that asks more of us than we feel we're capable of. I dare you to reach for it, and I dare you to fail, and I dare you to reach for it again. Because let me tell you that the secret to success and fulfillment and the evolution of consciousness, it's really always in the attempt. And so it is.